Yo, what's good my fellow deadheads? Your overlord has returned with yet another Bleach Soul Resonance video. And guys, today we are here to talk about some tips for team building, because I feel like people have a very general idea of how to build teams. It's pretty self-explanatory in the game, but I just kind of want to talk about some characters who are standouts and some synergies that are just a little bit better than others. Just a few things that I've noticed over time playing the game. And the best support in the game, Urahara, everybody talks about, yes, but I looked actually at the second layer of supports, because all the other supports that we have in the game are all going to be SR supports. I've actually looked over all the SR supports, and I've kind of done some research. I just looked at it for 5 minutes. That is research, I guess. But yes, I looked over them, and I have determined who was probably the second best support in the game, and just kind of what that means for your team's bars. But if you guys do enjoy videos like these and find them helpful, you can go down below, you can leave a like on the video, you can subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can get notified every single time the Deadman hits the Benny Hime glide. And you can also comment down below and let me know what you want to know. But let's go ahead and get right into the video chat. So first of all, guys, I do just want to say there is a clear distinction amongst the characters, not only by typing, because as you can see here, we have Slash, we have Thrust, we have Spirit, and then we have Strike characters. But those four distinctions are not what I'm talking about so much. I mean, that'll help you with your team building a little bit later on, and that's a pretty self-explanatory part of building teams in this game, because typically before you go into a stage, it shows you over the actual stage itself what typing is going to be strong on the stage, and if it does not say what typing is strong on the stage, that means that you can use any type in that stage. But the other little sub kind of like category that I want people to take a look at is this right here. So you can see that a tactic unit is a team-oriented character with unique battlefield skills capable of dealing serious damage in the backline by working with other teammates. Some very notable tactic units are going to be Byakuya, Tosin, Rukia is a tactic, Udio is a tactic, and basically all that tactic means is that the characters have battlefield skills and they can support from the back line. They can do a majority of their damage from the back line, right? Then we have a full assault character, a DPS character who deals significant damage with their skills and maintains high damage output through sustained presence on the battlefield. All that means is this character is going to be on the battlefield for the majority of the time, dealing direct, straight up damage to the enemies through their actual, ultimate, technique, regular attack skills, counterattacks, anything of that nature. But they are going to have the most presence on the battlefield whenever you're in a battle. If you are winning a fight, they are usually the reason why you're winning the fight. Now, there can be other sub-reasons to that, such as a support character. A support character that buffs teammates or debuffs enemies. Now, support characters are characters who do get moments on the battlefield, but you usually are just switching them in so that you can set up an effect and then switching right back to your full assault DPS so that you can abuse that effect and get a bunch of extra damage out on these characters. And they actually tell you in the game for each individual character who are the best teams to put together for those characters. But I just wanted to give you guys some general rules of thumb when looking at these characters. First rule of thumb is that Urahara is the best support in the game because of a little buff called ratio analysis. I mean, he's good also because I feel like he has a very tricky skill set where he has an ultimate that is very long range and can hit enemies whenever they go into the purple state and you need to counterattack them. You can either counterattack them or you can ultimate those enemies. Urahara has an ultimate that can basically hit enemies from anywhere on the battlefield, so that really helps you to deter enemies from doing very big attacks and messing up your team. 2, Urahara also has a secondary skill, or a technique. I call it a secondary skill because it's the skill you use the second most past his basic skill. He has a technique where he throws a portable Gigai forward, which is just a fake body, and then he actually turns invisible and runs away. That helps you get out of crazy situations whenever you're pretty much under fire from the enemies in the game. And this literally is when they do it, and I noticed it whenever you fight Urahara in boss fights as well. When Urahara throws the Gigai out, he actually taunts enemies with that Gigai as well. Urahara throws a portable Gigai forward and immediately falls back, gaining a stack of spiritual pressure reserve. The portable Gigai taunts nearby enemies with a large area and then explodes in 6 seconds, dealing damage equal. So you're getting the enemies off of you, not aggroing you, but aggroing your fake, your body double for 6 seconds, which can really help you take off the pressure whenever the enemies are just spamming and blamming you. But the real the real special part of this man Urahara's kit is whenever Urahara releases his special attack, technique, ultimate, or counter attack, so pretty much does anything outside of a basic attack, grants 1 stack of ratio analysis to the team. Each stack increases the team's attack by 10% for 15 seconds, and it stacks up to 3 times. Now, the way that this works is you're going to do all 3 of your different skills, and as you do all 3 of your different skills, you're going to get the ratio analysis stacked up to 3, and you're going to see it slowly running out on your characters, right? Because it's a constant effect on all your characters, doesn't matter who you switch to. What you want to do is whenever ratio analysis gets super low is you want to switch back to Urahara and then use another skill from Urahara so that you can maintain the stack, because when you do it, it's not like you lose all 3 stacks and you get back 1 stack for using the skill. No, if you use a skill before it times out on the 3 stacks, it literally just resets the 3 stacks back to max. So that's kind of how you want to play it. The way that I typically try to do that is I will start off my fights with Urahara so I can go ahead and get ratio analysis worked out already at the start of the battle. Then I'll switch through my characters, cycle through, get some damage out, and then I'll switch back to Urahara, use a few more skills, keep the maintain the ratio analysis, and then I will also save his ultimate so that when ratio analysis is getting super low, I can just ultimate him from the back line. He just instantly pops out, does a technique, instantly restacks the ratio analysis. Now, some things around his passive as well are going to be this right here. I mean, this literally is just helping him to gain his ultimate faster and faster. Or if his spiritual, yes, this will help him gain his ultimate faster and faster, which obviously is just helping him to maintain a technique that is going to maintain his ratio analysis. This right here also, or no, actually, this boosts his spiritual energy, which allows him to do his special attack after you boost it up. After doing basic attacks long enough, you hold A. This boosts his special attack a little bit faster. So this pretty much guarantees that his special attack is full after he does his ultimate or after he does his technique, because it's always full for me after he does that. Then this right here is going to be whenever Urahara releases a special attack, increases the next ultimate damage by 15%. So I don't really rely on Urahara for damage, but any extra little bit of damage does help out. This skill also, the ultimate and the technique also heal for me, but that's because of a specific, I almost said recollection bit, oh my goodness. That's because of a specific core stamp I have on him right now, and that core stamp works very well. And honestly, if you guys don't have Urahara's actual core stamp, there's 2 different core stamps you can give him. There's one that does increase the attack furthermore whenever he does his technique or his ultimate, but I use this one right here because this one helps me to keep my team topped up without having to use Orihime for who's like fully into the healing, right? This allows me to use Urahara, who still can provide some damage, who still has his crafty maneuvers on the battlefield, who allow me to get out of heavy fire. And after releasing a technique or ultimate, the entire team gains a healing effect that lasts for 2 seconds and restores 6.25 of their max HP every second. So it's unstackable, but either way, it is very useful because when your enemies take a really big hit, or when your units take a really big hit, basically you can sit the unit who took a really big hit in the background. You can pull Urahara out. You can just pull him for a little while because he has all of his maneuver ability. Stay away from the enemies. Play keep away pretty much, and just keep using his techniques, his ultimate and his technique, so that you can get the allies healed back up, and then you can just bring them right back out. The last very integral piece to this man Urahara, and basically I would say, you want to get Urahara first and foremost from the standard banner, and you also want to get, and even if that means you had to go all the way up to the 300 summon point and just select him, yes, you need to do that. I'm not saying force your way to the 300. I'm not saying spend your money. I'm just saying once you get to the point that you are at 300 summons on the standard banner, if there's a character that you do not have and you need to pick, and you're trying to figure out who should I pick up, it is 1,000,000,000% Urahara. He is just going to last for a while. He is a very good support in the game. He literally works on any team in the game, whether he's the same type as the rest of the team or not. But then you can see here with his weapon stamp, he actually releases a special attack, or releasing a special attack, which is when he holds A and does the little sword wave. When he does that, he actually throws out an additional sword wave, which gives it 2 stacks of ratio analysis in one sitting instead of just 1 stack of ratio analysis. And the reason why that is important is because this also increases his maximum stacks of ratio analysis to 6 and increases his special attack damage by 15%. So now all of a sudden, when you get Urahara's weapon stamp, you are increasing your team's extra damage, not by 30% at max, but by 60% at max, and you're building up those ratio stacks even faster. And this is just very helpful, just in case you do run out of the ratio analysis stacks, you can get built right back up to it very quickly. But yes, that is what makes Urahara the best support in the game. It's just that his buff is just general for everybody. I'm honestly slacking on his skills and I need to boost them, but it's Sunday, I'm chilling. I am going to go watch JJK Execution later today, and I'm also saving my stamina so that my overflow stamina can start building up, because I do want to get that to the full 1000 before the half anniversary comes. A lot of things you'll see me doing in this game is going to be very like conservative until we get to the half anniversary of the game, and then I'm gonna splurge more than likely, but not even splurge like my money. I'm just gonna spend a little bit of money over time as all these characters come out, and then I'm going to, you know, spend a little bit of extra money during the half anniversary, and then we will get what we get. Hopefully we can max out the character, or not even hopefully, I'm pretty sure just the way that my plan is set up, we're going to max out the character and their weapon stamp. So it is what it is, man. But at the moment right now, it's good that Urahara is just a standard banner character in the game, because that means that even if you do want to follow my strategy and save all of your premium tickets and all that, you can still use your standard tickets and try to build this man up, right? But I'm just going to go ahead and say it now. The second best support in the game is more than likely going to be Momo Hinamori, who is a new SR, I almost said SSR, who is a new SR character who dropped. I do not have her in my account just yet, but I did look over her kit. The reason why she is going to be the second best support in the game is because she is the person with the second most general buffing in the game. She pretty much throws out her keto snare, and then she throws a skill at her keto snare to ignite insight. And insight is a skill that for every stack you have, it increases everybody on your team's attack by 5%. And it seems like insight does not stack, or it seems like insight does not stack to a certain limit. It seems like it can stack infinitely because it lasts for 30 seconds, and I've not seen anywhere in Momo's kit where it says that insight caps out at this many stacks, right? Where we saw specifically in Urahara's kit, it stacks out to 6 stacks of ratio analysis. But another reason why I say that she is the best secondary best support in the game is because not only does she have general support similar to Urahara's, it's just a little more tedious how you maintain it, because with Urahara it's use a move, this happens, right? With Momo, it's use this specific move and then use another move to combo with it, and then you get this stack, and try to maintain that. But since you have to chain skills together to get that buff, that means that buff is going to take a lot more focus to maintain versus Urahara's, which is just use a skill, use a skill, use a skill. But not only does Momo actually boost the stacks of your team in general, she can also double down and boost the stacks of spirit characters as well. So even though her kit ultimately maybe is for spirit characters and she was made with Hitsugaya in mind, realistically she is the second best support in the game because she has that general insight support that she can get from the keto snare. Now I'm going to go over the rest of the other supports real quick and just tell you why I say they're not as good as Momo, just because you guys I don't know, you guys can be funny sometimes. You guys can go down below and go, yo, what, this character is way better than, okay. So Orihime's support is very good, and she's very good for survivability, but like I just said, I'm using Urahara with this core stamp that I found, you know, randomly, and he's giving healing while being maneuverable, while still providing some damage, while providing a very crazy attack buff. And Orihime can provide an attack buff, but her attack buff comes from, I believe, her switching out to an enemy, or not to an enemy. Where is it? It is, there we go. Whenever increases all type damage by 25%. First character you switch in after Orihime. So the reason why this isn't that great is because this boost right here is for a character that you switch to after you were using Orihime. This is not a full team-wide thing, and neither one of these right here turn it into a full team-wide thing. But you can boost the damage that one character does get. But again, that is just for one character. That is not going to be something that is constant or consistent on every single character on your team as you switch throughout all of them. So that is why Orihime does not take the cake, because she just provides like defense, and I find more often than not what I need more is more damage, because the faster I kill the enemies, the less damage they can do to me. Yachido is actually a pretty solid support, but she is specifically for slasher units, so that already takes her out of the running for second best. And then Nemu, same case, but for strike units. And plus, I think Nemu boosts your attack by a flat stat versus by a percentage, which automatically is just worse. But yeah, it's Urahara, and then Momo is probably the second best support. But if you look at Hitsugaya's team, actually, I'm pretty sure people were asking, is Momo or Urahara a better support for Hitsugaya? They could just be showing this right here to make you want to summon for Urahara, right? They could be showing you, yes, we have a free-to-play team option for you, but summon for Urahara. They could just be saying that for that purpose, but I still think that Urahara is probably going to pan out better just because, like I said, it is easier to maintain his buff. and he just has so much maneuverability. Like, I don't think people think about that aspect of Urahara. He's a very mobile character in this game, so he really can help you get out of like the frying pan, there we go, whenever the situation is getting too hot. But that was just general rules for support characters, and the reason why I went over all three types is because typically you want your team to have all three of these types of characters. So typically you have your main DPS who's doing the bulk of the damage, who's going to have the mainstay presence on the battlefield. Then you have a support character who's going to pop in and out and make sure that the team is okay in between all the fighting, and then you have a tactic unit who's going to be working from the battlefield. So typically you want to have your team balanced amongst these three. Now, beyond that, let's talk about, I guess we can just go over what is the best team for each category in the game right now. So no matter what, Urahara is going to be a part of the team, right? So let's just go to where can I go to my teams, because you can build preset teams. I'm trying to find just like I'm gonna find the team builder page and just build some preset teams and just kind of like go cycle through them. Alright guys, so we're here on the team build screen and we have a few teams built up, and I'm just going to give you like a quick little speed run. I'm actually going to move my face out of the way so you can actually see the battlefield buff down here in the corner, but we're just going to go through each one of these teams and talk about what these teams have in common and why Hitsugaya's team actually is the one who is probably in the best position because it has the best potential to grow right now. Alright guys, so the first team we're going to look at is the Slash team, because Urahara is a Slash character and this one is just like the most complete looking one, right? So Slash team is very impactful. You have Ichigo as your full DPS here. Ichigo is a very strong character, but I do not have Ichigo's weapon stamp, so my Ichigo kind of pales in comparison to a lot of Ichigos, but it is what it is. That is not what we're here to talk about today. The reason why this team works so well is because you have Urahara, the best support in the game, for, you know, supporting the team. You have Ichigo, who is your mainstay character, who's going to be on the front line for the most part. Then you have Byakuya, who is actually a tactic slash unit, and you can see here that Byakuya's effect is actually providing the team with an extra 30% slash damage. So not only is Urahara providing the team with an extra 60% damage in general, but Byakuya is also providing the team with an extra 30% slash damage on top. And that is the main way you want to build these teams in general. You want to have that unit that's boosting the team's damage by 30%, because literally, like I said, the stages tell you what team you need, what team type you need. So you want to have the 30% booster unit. You want to have your full assault DPS, and you always want to have Urahara. And I always put Urahara in the front spot so I can start off with him and get those ratio analysis popping as soon as I come in the game. Now, obviously, your tactic characters do got to come out sometimes so that you can activate some of their skills to get some of their stuff started up. But once they get started up, man, like, they're pretty much running on easy peasy mode, and this team is really impact. Like, bro, the amount of damage that tactic units do from the backfield is insane. I've seen this man Slug actually show the damage he's done after a stage before, and I think Byakuya maybe eclipsed everybody else for damage in the stage. But Slug does not have, does not have Bankai Ichigo, so maybe that was just because he didn't have a main slash unit that was stronger. But even still, Byakuya is very impressive nonetheless. But we can go ahead and just switch to the next team, because like I said, these teams run very similar concepts. The next team is going to be the Thrust team, and you can see here we still have Urahara as the starting dude, but then we have Tosin here, and he's now providing thrust damage plus 30% to the team. And then we have Ikaku here, and also another thing to consider is that just like Byakuya's Bankai is a domain. Typically, tactic characters have a Bankai that is a domain type of thing, right? Then your full assault character, if they have a Bankai or a transformed state, it is typically something that is just affecting themselves but not affecting the entire battlefield. So when Byakuya, let's switch back for a second. When Byakuya activates his Bankai and then you switch back to Ichigo, his battlefield skills just get a lot more menacing all of a sudden, or even his active skills when he's on the battlefield get a lot stronger, and you can get some good damage out at the start of the Bankai and then switch just like back over to Ichigo, right? But that means that these two characters do not interfere with each other whenever they use their Bankais, right? Because one affects the world, the other affects himself, and the one who affects himself literally can just boost himself inside of the Bankai and then get extra boosting. Like, does that make sense to you, chat? The Bankai domain is already doing extra things for the battlefield skill, which is going to be putting out more damage. Then you switch back to your full DPS and you can transform them as well and then get even more extra damage on top of the Bankai, or both of the Bankais can just stack, is basically what I'm trying to say. And meanwhile, in between all that, obviously you're going to be switching in between Urahara and, maintaining your ratio analysis. So it just gets very insane, the damage that you can do. Now, back to the Thrust team, Tosin is the same thing. He has a Bankai that affects the entire battlefield. Ikaku is a character whose Bankai affects himself. But one thing that I will say is this team has a bit of a sub kind of like class to it. Like Thrust units also happen to be like bleed units, and that's not every Thrust unit because I don't know about Renji, but I know Uryu is not a bleed unit, whereas Tosin and Ikaku are both bleed units, and their bleed synergy is insane. And basically what the bleed is, or is it stab wound? No, I think it's bleed. But basically what bleed is, no, it's literally called wound. It is called wound, right? But what wound is that for how many stacks they have, they lose like ticks of HP like every second, basically. So if you can keep maintaining bleed, then you can 1,000,000,000% just like drain the enemy's health while you're literally actively doing damage to them. So I do think the Thrust team is very fun for that. And the next character, apparently, supposedly, that we're getting is going to be Gin Ichimaru, who is going to be replacing Ikaku on the Thrust team. But I say that maybe another team, so there are some stages in the game that require you to run 2 teams. Maybe sometimes you're put in a situation where you need Urahara on a different team, right? Then I would say you can use Ikaku, Gin, and Kaname all at the same time. But my Ikaku's already worked on. I am definitely going to be doing some tests of Gin versus Ikaku to see, who's better, who's worse, because the way that I plan to summon for Gin is he will be, he'll have his core stamp, he'll have his weapon stamp, and then he'll have his he'll just be no dupes, right? Which is basically how Ikaku is, except for Ikaku is missing his core stamp. So it'll be a little unfair, but we'll still be able to see exactly how they stack up against each other. But even if Ikaku doesn't have his core stamp, I feel like we'll be able to see like if the damage is just like too big of a gap between their damages, right? But then let's take a look at the strike team. Now, this is not the best strike team. I just happen to not have Sajin Kamamura at the moment in my account. I would just need to pick him up over time from the standard banner. But basically, Sajin Kamamura would be the character for the strike category who provides he's tactic, he has the battlefield skill, he provides the 30% boost to strike damage. And if we don't know who Kamamura is, if we're not well versed in the names of Bleach characters, Sajin Kamamura is literally the captain in Bleach who is literally a talking dog. That's Kamamura. But yes, he would be the best tactic unit because you already have Urahara as a support. You can double up on support with Nimue if you want to, because they give you Nimue for free at the start of the game, or not at the very start of the game, but like over time you get her for free through the events in the game. But Yoruichi, I have heard that Yoruichi just solos content, goes absolutely crazy. And again, it's just another case of, even though Yoruichi doesn't use a Zanpakuto when she doesn't have a Bankai, Kamamura does his Bankai, and then he pretty much has a battlefield skill that is just his Bankai, which is the giant swordsman. The giant swordsman can come in at any time, random times, and just like strike the enemy. And then Yoruichi can literally use Shunko, which puts her in a pretty much transformed state, but again does not affect the outside range of the Bankai itself that Kamamura is putting up. So that is going to be the best strike team at the moment. Like literally, like I said, Urahara is going to be the guy holding it together in all these teams. And if you don't have Urahara, obviously you can use Nimue as your strike support. If you don't have Urahara, tough luck for the Slash team, because I can't front of you, I don't know of anybody who, oh yeah, you can use Yachidu, but it's not going to be, it's really not going to be the same. But if you need a free-to-play option though, then you can do it. And I guess I could go back over, should I go back over and do free-to-play variants of these teams? Yes, I'll kind of go over, not free-to-play variants of these teams, I'll kind of set up one team and just switch through the characters really fast and just talk about that briefly, because I'm giving you an overall idea of how this is going to work for you in general. Now, the only team that is a little bit different is going to be the Spirit team, because we did not have a Spirit DPS that was an SSR yet, and we also did not have a Spirit, we do have a Spirit support, it's Orihime, but like I said, she is more defensive than anything, if not completely defensive, with a tiny little bit of attack boosting for like one person. So yes, this team looks a little bit different because we do have Urahara, we do have our main DPS is Tosha Hitsugaya, that aura farmer, but Rukia does not have 30% boost to spiritual damage. People are speculating that Aizen is going to have that when Aizen comes out, so we are still missing the pieces for the perfect Spirit team. But either way, this team does perform very well because a lot of Hitsugaya's kit stems off of getting freezes, and Rukia gets extra freezes in there, which kind of assists Hitsugaya in getting more damage and adding more freeze point to the enemies. So they just have a very good synergy, and also freezing the enemies kind of stops them in their tracks when they're doing certain skills. So it does make it very, very easy to kind of like walk these enemies down. And also Hitsugaya has his Bankai makes him fly, which gives him a lot of mobility as well. He has a lot of just like crazy wide animation, so he can hit a lot of mobs at the same time. This team performs very well. But yes, the only thing that can improve this team is, okay, Aizen does come out, and then Aizen does provide a 30% spirit boost to the entire team. And you could still put Rukia. I feel like you could still put Rukia and Aizen together, honestly. And I'm not saying that Rukia's freeze is better than Urahara's ratio analysis, but like I said, all these teams are kind of predicated on the fact of, okay, do I need to put Urahara on a separate team? Because as you get later in the game, there are going to be stages that just take up 2 teams. It just is what it is. Is this team good enough that I can leave Urahara on a different team and just put some other supporter in here, or do I need to leave Urahara on this team? So that's kind of going to determine how your teams are going to be working, and especially in those stages where you need to do 2-team runs, I say you always put Urahara on the weaker team because he's going to give them so much help, and then the team that's a little bit more balanced, a little more fleshed out, that team is going to be the one that you're going to have to just straight up do without Urahara. But I am going to go over just kind of like a speed round of, you know, if you don't have, you know, all these SSR characters, what would be probably the best bet for you in each regard on these teams. So I would say this is a good choice for the Slash team because Shika Ichigo, I had to use him at the very, very start of the story because when I started playing this game, I was free to play. So Ichigo, Shikai was just kind of like one of my only choices. If not, I was using Ikaku, and even when I had Ikaku, I was still using Shikai Ichigo for some stages, and I was somewhat some stages that required slash units as the type advantage unit, but I was somewhat impressed with this man Ichigo's damage whenever I was using him. So I'd say that he's a pretty solid damager, and then literally you have Yashiru here, who is going to be your supporter for slash units, and the only reason why Rukia is here is because Rukia and Uryu provide the same battlefield skill, all type damage 15%, and let me double check and make sure they say the exact same thing. Yes, teams all type damage plus 15%, but the only difference is Rukia has a tiny bit more utility, or a lot more utility actually, with those freezes that she does, because like I said, those freezes can stop enemies in their track. So if you have none of the characters who provide the 30% team boost, I would say you want to go for Rukia over Uryu. And at this point, guys, I'm kind of just giving recommendations if you don't have any SSR characters at all. But I mean, like, bro, you hop in the game, they give you 300 free summons. Like, somebody somewhere has an SSR character, and they are able to use them in some capacity. And sometimes you don't really need to go in with the type, type that is recommended for the stage. Like, it helps, yes, but if you gotta do what you gotta do, man, you gotta do what you gotta do. And the only real attacker I could really give you, who's not even an attacker, he's a supporter, is Uryu, and he's a tactic unit, but Rukia is already a tactic unit, so you could try to use Uryu as your main DPS. You will not get good results. Also, you probably could just do this man Renji, if I'm gonna be real. Like, Renji, I have not used at all, I have not worked on it at all, but I mean, like, what else are you gonna do if you don't have an SSR thrust unit? You know what I'm saying? Probably Renji is gonna be your only choice, but that's not even like a recommendation. I'm not saying go work on Renji right now. I'm just saying that's what your choice is if you do not have, the proper thrust units, because I'm only missing 2 characters in the game, and the other 2 characters I'm missing, one is Strike and the other one is, and it's SSR, so I'm not even about to include it in these free-to-play teams, and then the other one is literally Momo, which again is a solid support. So if I had Momo, actually I could put Rukia as a tactic, Momo as a support, and then Renji as the main character is probably what I would do. And then for Strike free-to-play, maybe something to this effect, because I feel like I saw that Chad sacrifices some of his HP whenever he's fighting. So you have Nemu giving boost to Strike units, you have Chad who's going to be your main DPS but also maybe hurting himself a bit, and then you have Orihime who can provide like very good heals for him. Or if you just get a different support character that you want to throw in and you can just use that core stamp that I have on Urahara right now, then you could have healing from I guess any character that you felt like who was another good support. But I mean, like, then at that point, I guess you could put Rukia on and then just use her and have the heals with her to maintain Chad's health to some degree. Then lastly, for the Spirit team, free-to-play Spirit team, and last team, I would say Ururu is going to be your Sumugia. Uryu Sumugia. She would be your DPS. She's not the strongest, but she does have a very rapid attacking skills. Then you also have Rukia here again as your tactic unit, who's going to be doing a lot of work from the back line, but those freezes are going to be very impactful for you. And then Orihime is there because she was there, but realistically I would say you want to put Momo here because Momo does boost, like I said, in a general sense like Urahara, but not quite as well. And then also she also can just go even further out and boost spirit damage specifically. But yeah, that's like the general. That's my general rules of thumb for building units or building teams. I'm not gonna say that that is the end all be all 100%. And let me show you what I'm talking about by 2 team stages real quick before I end off the video. So the main thing that requires 2 teams from you is adventure mode. Hey, I'm back, by the way. The main thing that requires 2 teams from you is adventure mode. But the thing about adventure mode is that it's very important to get 3 stars on all these modes, because as you get 3 stars on all these modes, that's going to provide you more bond material, and or not bond material, but bond shards. And the more bond shards you get, the more you can unlock crazy buffs that can go on any character in your account of your choice. So yeah, you want to make sure that your teams are built out and well developed enough for this. And I will say, one thing that I did not notice until right now at this moment, or I did notice it, but I just hadn't thought about how impactful it was. Typically, these games are asking you to build teams of 4, I feel like. And building 8 characters is a lot more difficult than building 6 characters. It sounds like just taking on 2 characters doesn't make that big of a difference, but it absolutely does when you consider the fact that the 2 characters that you're taking off not only are requiring to get max level, they're eating up your gold as well. You have to get all their skills leveled up, you have to get their weapon leveled up, you got to search for their core stamp, you got to search for their weapon stamp. Like, a lot goes into working on a character on this team. So I'm very glad that they made it so that the teams were 3-man teams instead of 4-man teams. Just makes the grind feel not as bad. But yes, there are literally some times where, like, this team is really good now, right? And I feel like Urahara is kind of like the missing piece for this team, but also Uryu being on this team just makes this team suck so much worse. So I can't beat this in 200 seconds right now, which is like the main objective of this, or not the main thing I struggle with. I can beat this stage. I can beat the stage without getting hit 50 times. It's just winning in 200 seconds. I've literally been in the stage and about to win and literally just quit the stage because I'm not going to get all 3 stars, because I want all 3 stars on it, right? So this is where you're in a situation where you have to really be kind of like thinking like, dang, where do I put Urahara? Now, I could do some event story stuff today and finally get my free copy of Momo Hinamori, and then all of a sudden, we do have another supporter that we can build for this team right here. And then I can finally move Urahara back up to this team right here, and then I can finally beat this mission and get on to the next adventure chapter. But this is precisely what I'm talking about, chat. This is why I was saying, you know, maybe it'd be Ikaku Tosen Gin sometimes, because there are some times where you're gonna have another team that's down below who still needs Kisuke's help, right? But I'd say this team needs Kisuke's help more just because my Hitsugaya is the strongest DPS in my account now. So we're gonna mix this around, and maybe we try to work on this today, maybe we try to get some results from this today. But yeah, that is it for Deadman's team building guide. If you guys did enjoy that video, then you can go down below and you can hit the like button, and you can also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can get notified every single time the Deadman, every single time the Deadman hits the damn Yoruichi is fine as hell glide. And you guys can also comment down below and let me know what you want to know. But also, if you have any interesting team comps that you've been trying out and they've been working out for you, then please, like, go down below and comment and share that with people. Like, don't feel like I'm saying, yo, this is the end all be all, this is how it works. Like, no, I'm just saying from my findings, this is what I found to be true, this is what I found to be kind of butt cheeks. But it is all up to experience, and whatever you experience could skew your opinion. So guys, definitely comment down below, definitely partake in the community aspect of these videos, and definitely just not even telling me information, but just telling information in general so that people can read that and be like, okay, cool, that also helped me out too. Like, I watched Deadman's video and it helped me out, but also I watched this, or I read this comment, and also that comment just gave me a little bit more insight. But that is it for the Deadman's team building guide. If you enjoyed the video, do all the things that Deadman said before, and remember what, chat? The Deadman does love you, and the Deadman loves to go see some JJK. Y'all have an excellent day. Peace.